Hi there guys, Sam here. So as you continue on from this sketching tutorial, we're now going to be looking at turning a sketch into a 3D part. Okay, so you've loaded up Solidworks. We're going to go back to our file, new, and we're going to select part. Okay, and so okay there. Okay, so we've got our model space. Now, we'll select our front plane. Actually, we'll start off with the top plane. We'll start with the top plane for this one. Okay, we'll show that. And we'll begin our sketch as previously shown in the tutorial before. Okay, we're going to select our normal 2. We'll face on with the plane. Okay. So just a simple exercise, we're just going to select the center rectangle and select our origin and drag that out. Okay, escape that, and we're going to add some dimensions. So let's just call that 100 mil. Okay, and the same that one. Okay, so we've got a fully defined sketch. Okay, now obviously this is 2D, so how do we turn that into a 3D model? Okay, so the basics of SolidWorks, we will go to our features and we've got options here, so we've got extruded boss base, revolved boss base, and swept boss base. Today we're just going to be looking at extruded and revolved, okay? So for the first one here, we will extrude. So we will click extrude, and as you can see, it gave us a default of 10 mil. Okay, now we can select that to whatever we want. Okay, so let's call that 100 mil. And select the tick up here. Okay. So we now have a 3D model of a cube, okay? Now just a little tip here. Say if you wanted to cut the whole way through that, okay? Now most people when they start doing it, you'll find, will just select a sketch and draw on the face here, which you can do, okay? For this example, I won't bother defining it, but I'll just show you. If we go back to our features, we then have extruded cut, okay? So if we click on extruded cut, we can select 100 mil, which will obviously cut through the whole thing, or by selecting this tab up here, we have options, okay? So we can have through all, and that cuts through the whole entire thing. We can select blind, and say put that to 50, and that will cut halfway, and various other options that we'll look into detail further down the line. Okay, so if I tick that, we then have our cut. Now if you wanted it to be blind, that is fine, okay, but I will show you. Here we have our feature tree, okay? So we can go back and edit these whenever we please, okay? So if we want to edit this cut, we click on it, right click, go to the top left hand side and edit feature, okay? So click on that and we can edit that to 80, 20, whatever you want, okay? But let's say for this sake we want it to be through the whole entire thing, okay? So we've got that there. However, that's been done in 2 features, which means anytime you want to edit that, you have to go through and do it in both of these features. Now, that is wasting time, and I'll show you this. If we delete this cut extrude by right-clicking and press delete, okay, and delete the sketch, delete, we can go back by expanding this arrow next to the boss extrude, and we can edit the sketch, okay? And we can then insert another sketch from the center point to there. This one will define this, so let's call that 80, and let's call that 80, okay? If we then go to exit sketch, which is the top right hand side of the screen, this button here is exit sketch, will take us back to our model, and we have the same thing. Obviously to find a sketch is slightly different, but we have the same thing done in one feature. Now this is good Solidworks practice, a good habit to get into early on, okay? So that's how you generate a basic 3D model, okay? And that's in extruded boss base, okay? So you can extrude any sketch you want as long as it's closed. So if we delete this and delete the sketch, I'll then show you how to use Revolved boss base, okay? So for this one, let's use our front plane. So if we hide that and show our front plane and select our normal 2. Oh, we want to be, if we select our front there, that'll go there. If I was to rotate this round, the normal 2 goes to whatever it's closest to, okay? So if I go normal 2 now, that'll bring us to our front plane. Okay, so this is how you use the Revolved boss base, okay? So say if I want a cylinder with a bore through the middle, okay? The revolve feature needs an axis, a center line, okay? So if I select center line, select our front plane that we want to sketch on, and go to our origin, okay? Now, as you can see, whatever we do now, the origin will be at the bottom of the part. It's then in good practice to keep the origin at the center of the part. So if we delete that coincident and select the origin and the line, CTRL on both, we then get the option of midpoint. If we select midpoint, the line is then always symmetric about the origin, okay? So, if I want a cylinder of diameter 80mm, I will select my line down here. It's already got a vertical relation, okay? Now, to keep this about the center line, I can then add another center line, select the origin, and select the midpoint of this line, click on the center line that I just added, and click horizontal, okay? So this means that this will always be symmetric as well, okay? Now, again, this center line, these two center lines are what we call construction lines over here as ticked, so we can turn this one into a construction line if we wanted. For this example, we don't, okay? These are just used to generate the feature, generate the model, okay? They're not used to generate it, they're simply virtual construction lines, okay? So we want the cylinder to be an outside bore of 80mm, okay? So we select the line here and we select the center line. Now, as you can see, we can type in 40mm here, okay? Because it's half of 80. Or if we move the cursor over to this side here, it will then give us the OD, the outer diameter, which we can then select to 80mm, okay? Escape that. So if we want the inside diameter, the bore, to be 40mm, we can then select our line, add another line in there, okay, and we want to add the dimension, okay, so we select the dimension there, and to the center line, move the cursor over, and we select 40mm. Okay, now this is closed at the moment. We want a height. let's say we want the height of 200 millimeters. We want to first add the line here and here. Okay, that's automatically put that as horizontal. In some cases it might not, depending on how far apart these lines are, which means you have to put it into yourself. In fact, I'll show you that now. So if I had a line from here to here, oh, sorry, I'll delete that. If we had a line from here to here and escape that there, as you can see, it's already recognised that it's a closed loop now. Escape that. It hasn't gave it a horizontal automatic relation because of how far apart they are. Okay, so if we click on the line and add horizontal, we then get a fully defined sketch apart from the length. Okay, and it's all symmetric about the center line, about the origin. Okay, so if we add our 200 millimeters, okay, now we've got the thickness of the cylinder. Okay, so if we go up to our features here and click Revolved Boss Base, and here it's asking for an axis of revolution. So we want to revolve this thickness around this line here, okay, 360 degrees. We simply tick that and we get our cylinder, okay, and the origin is about the center. All the planes are about the center, and that's just good practice to get into when you start out on SolidWorks. Okay, thanks guys. I'll see